Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Farm, where we don't start the conspiracies, we just add the water. And now, your host of the most state-of-the-art, most informed podcast on the interweb, I present to you Pat Miletich and Jeffrey Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for war?
Greetings and salutations, friends, families, farmers. How's everybody doing? Whoa, make sure my volume's up. Just waiting for the arrival of the champion. How's everybody doing? Hopefully nobody has melted. Yeah, I was at this summer camp with my daughter this past weekend. It was like 100 plus degrees, and I come home tonight, it's like 75 fucking degrees. What the hell is that about? CC, what's up, brother? Much love, homeboy. Just waiting on the champ. Let's see. He's here. Yes. In a moment, he should be with us.
Yo.
Again, hope everybody.
Can you
what's
hear
up,
me?
I can, but why am I not hearing you through my headphones?
It's the gremlins.
Hello?
Hello.
What the Sam? Okay, there we go.
Got it?
Yeah, but I'm only hearing it through one ear. What the hell? All right, whatever. How you doing, champ?
I'm doing good today. Doing good.
Good.
Just got done with a good dinner. Ready to go with you?
Yes, it's been a minute, man. I've been working a whole shit ton, and this weekend I was out of town with my daughter. Like I was just saying, it was like 100 plus degrees all weekend, and I come home, it's like 70, 75 degrees.
Hey, you know, it was good for you to get a tan. You needed one.
Yeah, I did. I got scorched, man. The top of my dome piece is feeling it. It's gonna be peeling any day now, man. Steve Haraway, what's up, homeboy? Got a lot of people chiming in, man. How you been? How's everybody been? Hope everybody's well. Been an interesting last week or so. You've had some interesting press over the weekend.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. But first, I want to get into what I was doing Friday night. I didn't have to do a broadcast this week, so I was able to stay home, which was nice. Was able to go to the banquet, the dinner, silent auction for Thank the Seals Foundation, which my good friend Billy Chrisman started 5 years ago. This was the 5-year anniversary, and a lot of it was sold out. The dinner was sold out, which was awesome, and they raised, I think, somewhere around $50,000, which was split between two families. They picked two families each year. One family from Navy SEALs and one family, a local family that might be, you know, a Marine that was killed in action, Army, other Navy, whatever. But so anyway, then Saturday they did the ride. Well, first in the morning they give a check to one of the local family, which was awesome to see down at the Bettendorf Convention Center. Then they take all the bikes out, the Harleys and Indians and everything, and there's some SEALs that retired SEALs that fly in for it, some Marines and some Army veterans, and it's pretty cool. Hundreds and hundreds of motorcycles, and they rode down to Mount Pleasant, Iowa, just to make people aware. You know, make people aware. A lot of American flags, a lot of patriotism, a lot of trying to give back to the veterans. And then they came back into town, and then they had a big party and a concert at Tanglewood, which is a new facility, a new bar restaurant that's beautiful up on Devil's Glen Road here in Bettendorf. So really cool weekend for me to actually finally get to one and hang out with Billy and all the people that
ran into a guest. Someone's going to be a future guest on the show.
I did. What's his name again?
Chris Tonto Pronto, baby.
Yeah, so I hung out with him, had a good talk with him. He gave a speech about Benghazi, what they went through at Benghazi, in Benghazi, and I tell you what, you talk about nobody, I don't care what you've been through in life, that night was absolute hell. And we can actually get into Benghazi a little bit because, you know, they they were told to stand down several times from their building when they were radioed for help, and they were repeatedly told to stand down. And that was about a half hour, I think, that they had to sit there with all their gear in their vehicles and just twiddle their thumbs. And finally, one of them, it actually might have been Ty Woods, I think, that told the guy that was supposed to be their leader, you kiss our ass. We're going to save the ambassador and his people right now. And so they told him to get the hell out of the way, and they went. And
as we know, the ambassador, Chris Stevens, God rest his soul, he wound up finding out what was really going on about how, the Obama State Department, not that it just started with Obama, but it was on his watch. The Obama administration, the Obama State Department was facilitating arming ISIS.
And Clinton State Department, yeah.
Clinton State Department, I'm sorry, but yeah, how it was an arms trade. They were running arms from Libya up into Syria. And he found out about it, and he, cost him his life.
So in the end, I tell you what, we're going to have Chris Pronto on, and this story it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's just sit there and listen to it. Even some of the Navy SEALs that were sitting next to me said, that's a rough night, man. That's a rough ride with that one. So I'm really looking forward to having him on, and he condensed the story a little bit. We'll let him elaborate on some of the details on our show, because we'll be able to run for 2 hours, with him, and really get a lot of the details out of this thing. And so, the thing that I talked to with him mainly was how furious I was when those 4 caskets came back into the United States. Now, I don't want to give anything away too much in the story, because it's so worth hearing from him. But the way that they finally got out of there, I mean, they basically commandeered a transport plane from another country and said, "You are flying us out of here. You're getting us to Germany." And they had the bodies of the fallen with them, and they took them with, and they were able to get out. And then, if everybody remembers who saw it, Obama and Hillary Clinton standing in front of those caskets with those men's families sitting in attendance and lying to those families and lying to America on TV, saying that it was a YouTube video that caused this attack. These people are treasonous. They're treasonous for what they've done, and just that alone, they should be imprisoned. Just that alone, what they were doing. So, today Congress saying that they're going to investigate high crimes by Donald Trump for collusion and all this other stuff. It's a distraction, folks. It's a distraction to get you off of all the crimes that were committed in the previous administration. And look, I'm not saying Trump's perfect. I'm not saying what they're doing is perfect. I don't know what's going to happen in Iran. I don't know what's going on in Venezuela right now. I haven't talked to my connection down there, who knows the ins and outs, for a few weeks on that. We should circle back on that. But I can tell you that the previous administration did some really, really bad shit, man, and they really need to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, again, nothing is really as it seems. And again, what we're talking about, Benghazi did happen during the Obama administration. Did happen during the Obama administration. But I mean, a lot of this stuff, LBJ lorded over, the Gulf of Tonkin, the Bushes, weapons of mass destruction. So it's, having shows like this, man, hopefully starts, cutting through the BS. I know everybody's so polarized with right and left.
We can't. Yeah, but thing is, we can't go back and imprison or charge LBJ. He's dead. Obama.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I know. I'm just saying we have to realize that a lot of dirt is being done. And when we criticize this kind of stuff, it doesn't mean
it's a track record of our government.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean we don't love our country. We're just trying to make people aware that so many of these things that we talk about and argue about and point out transcends right and left, man. They need us fighting. They can't have us divided. And what's going on now, the tweets and Ocasio Court. I mean, all of this is all so divisive. So like you said, keep our eye off a larger prize. But the beat goes on, and we try to do our best to continue to speak truth to power. And
right,
whenever if you want to begin to address how that has come, the chickens have kind of come home to roost on us. You know what I mean? Because we've been 2 or 3 years ago when we were talking about Pedogate and Pizzagate. No, we weren't saying Hillary Clinton ran Pizzagate, but we alluded to this larger global child trafficking, satanic ritual abuse of children. And we're now starting to get an inkling of it with Jeffrey Epstein. And because we have been vocal about it, you know, they done sick the dogs on us, specifically on you, bro.
Yeah, so the website Bloody Elbow, which is underneath the umbrella of Vox Media, decided to run a story on Igor Zinoviev, who was a Russian fighter. He fought one time in the UFC. Turns out he had connections in terms he was a chauffeur, at least I know, from the article anyway, for Jeffrey Epstein. So he was around Jeffrey Epstein quite a bit, I guess. What he did, if anything, besides drive Jeffrey Epstein and people around, I have no idea. I wasn't friends with.
You're breaking up a little bit, bro.
I was acquaintances with Igor Bochanchin because he was a coach in the IFL also, just as well as Frank Shamrock, Ken Shamrock, Boss Rutan, and many others. So what they did was got us all on stage. It was about 8 or 10 of us. They took a picture of all of us when we were all together for an event. And from that picture, they decided to crop a picture of myself looking forward toward the camera, smiling.
In the foreground.
Yeah, and Igor Zinoviev, who the article was about, was looking at me. So it made it look like the story was going to be about me. They used me as a UFC Hall of Famer as clickbait because the article title was, what was it? Former
UFC veteran fighter.
Tied to pedophilia,
associated
pedophilia and Jeffrey Epstein. And some people started sending me that, and I went, and then I remembered the writer. What's his name? I forget his name. We don't even want to mention his name.
Yeah.
We can mention his name, whatever his name is.
Piece of shit number one. His name's
Yeah.
Kareem something. Karim. He's a writer for. Yeah.
Don, writer for Bloody Elbow. He's had me blocked on Twitter for some time because of our political difference. Look, he's a hardcore leftist, and you know, the history of Vox Media and Bloody Elbow. Bloody Elbow, when they do their podcast, they turn it into a leftist political, you know, talk show for a while before they ever get to the MMA stuff. Look, we don't even talk about MMA on here. I keep that stuff separate. I don't mix sports and politics. When I do my sports broadcasting, I do my sports broadcasting, and when I do politics, I do politics. I never mix the two. That's really bad. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, doing that is garbage. But anyway, you know, the one thing that came up during the Twitter conversation about that article was Bloody Elbow was outed for whether he was on staff or a full-time employee, I'm not sure, but he was arrested for massive amounts of child pornography. And
they protected him.
From what a couple people on the Twitter argument were saying is that this Zidane and Bloody Elbow somewhat protected him is potentially, I'm not 100% sure. I can't say that because I wasn't paying attention, because I've never paid attention to Bloody Elbow until they posted a picture of me in this garbage article trying to tie me into it. So he obviously hates my politics. He's a hardcore leftist. He has me blocked on Twitter, and then they throw my picture into this with this headline that was, you know, I think it's, you know, it's an obvious jab. It's more than clickbait. It was an obvious jab to try and, because a lot of people are not going to continue reading. They're going to see, oh, Pat Miletich, Hall of Famer with the UFC, always connected to, and a couple people on Twitter said, Pat Miletich is connected to Jeffrey Epstein with a question mark. That infuriates me. And I have talked to my attorney and a couple other people. A couple other people have offered me their attorneys, who I guess are pretty high-powered attorneys. So, I mean, I'm definitely looking into that and exploring it, because it was obvious. It was obvious what they were up to. But, you know, either way, look, they're, in my mind, Bloody Elbow has always been pond scum and a garbage website. And most people consider it that, and the UFC dislikes them terribly. And a couple of people, I won't say names, but a couple of people that I'm friends with in broadcasting said that they are basically the joke chronicle paper that's always out.
The Onion.
Not the Onion, the Inquirer. It's the National Enquirer.
Oh.
It's the National Enquirer of mixed martial arts. So, yeah, it was sad.
But I mean,
so anyway,
and again, it's not about necessarily us being right or us being vindicated, but as people know, throughout the most recent years, if they can't physically assassinate you, which they really can't do unless you're a real
hard
threat,
to kill.
they have to
I'm pretty hard to kill, Jeff.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, if they don't kill you, then they have
That's
to
my
politically
point.
assassinate you and somehow delegitimize what we've been talking about. So it's almost a compliment that clearly we had just done our 100th episode with Sam Triplin. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. So clearly they caught wind of what we're talking about. But again, this is what they do, man. This is their way. And as we, when you're getting getting hits like this, you're over the target.
Right.
There's something substantive to what we're talking about. If they go to this kind of link, supposedly professional journalists, they knew exactly what they were doing with that picture. I sent you screenshot after screenshot of people saying, "What the fuck? Pat's involved." And then, part of it is clickbait because people's attention deficit. They don't read. They just watch. They just look at that and like, "Oh my God, he's talking shit about Epstein and child porn and all that shit, and he's involved in it too." You know what I mean? And that's what people have that shortcut to thinking. A lot of people didn't read the article. Some did. And like, oh wow, I thought it had to do with Pat, but overall, the function of that was a hit on you, bro.
Absolutely, and it shows. Look, we know that there is a lot of deflection going on, right? There's a lot of deflection going on. The DNC, the Clintons, all the lunatic liberal leftist psychotics in Congress right now, still screaming impeach, impeach, impeach. It was Russia, Russia, Russia. Now it's not collusion, even though there's still people that we're friends with that think that Donald Trump was colluding with Russia still, because it got pounded into their face from the evening news so much. And I'm dumbfounded.
Roger Maddow and the like.
Yeah, Roger Maddow. But it's these people are deflecting because we know the crimes. They've been well documented. We've been talking about them for years. We don't have to go back through them and beat a dead horse, because those are all going to come out. They're all going to come out. So,
and that's what people need to have serious patience for. Is we can talk about Area 51, we can talk about tweets, we can talk about the old person app or whatever you want.
But
when the depth of this comes out, dude, when the rabbit hole opens up and this goes down into
the rabbit hole that we've been in for years.
And been told how crazy we are. You know what I mean? But I never really trip on that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to come out. I'm hoping it's going to come out. I mean, the fact that they pinched Jeffrey Epstein, and the people aren't really hip with what's going on. I mean, the guy, in my humble opinion, was running an international blackmail sting or ring with ensnaring all these politicians, right, left, Hollywood people, your upper echelon of society, to basically blackmail them. And we've said all these, for years now, you don't get to these high positions, whether it's Hollywood or politics, unless they have something on you. And Jeffrey Epstein has a list, a black book, if you will, of people that he has dirt on. So, stay tuned, folks, because this is just the beginning. I'm hoping so, man, because the rabbit hole goes deep on this, dude.
It does. And the list of the people that flew on his plane to his island, Bill Clinton, 26 flights. Don't tell me, if that's what was going on that island, having sex with children, Bill Clinton going there 26 times. 26 times. Don't tell me that he didn't have anything to do with any of the shit that was happening to those kids. It's almost impossible to think that that's even remotely true. So, it's all going to come out. It is coming out. And the interesting thing about it is, we've talked about it, that Epstein is probably Mossad. We know that he got visited by, who was it?
I believe Ehud Barak, former prime minister of Israel.
Barak visited him, which almost confirms that he's Mossad. And that conversation was probably one of two things. It was either, we're going to take care of this and we're going to get you out of this, don't worry about it, or you run your mouth and you're dead. That was the two things that were probably said.
I mean, you know, he's in there, you know, singing like a straight canary. I mean, it's because, I mean, he's not going to go down by himself. I mean, he's probably wondering, how the hell did this happen? I thought I had the juice, you know, to keep, I thought I was untouchable. But the fact that he was now arrested for the second time, and the list of people who were involved with him, with the plea deal, I mean, there's so much to this, man, so many names. I mean, this is just scratching the surface. And I'm hoping to God that we will stop with these horseshit distractions and start paying attention and keeping our eye on the prize of what, again, what we've been talking about for a long time, man. Not that this is the be all end all, but these guys have not only been trafficking children, ladies and gentlemen, and preying on children. We're talking about ritualistic abuse. We're talking about sacrificing children. We're talking about drinking blood, eating flesh. I know it sounds fucking crazy, but this is what's happening, dude. Not all these people involved in it, but that's a part of all of this. I mean, look at the temple. The temple he has on his island is a replica temple of God damn, I forget now, a temple that's in Syria or Turkey or on the border or something like that. I mean, this shit goes deep, man. It goes very, very deep. And that's a very good question, Israel. How did Jeffrey Epstein make his wealth? A lot of that is payoff money that he's getting for his blackmail services.
The investments. People are forced to invest in his hedge fund
or just
stuff.
paying him off, just so he can keep quiet. I mean, dude, his involvement with AIG, Bear Stearns. I mean, and then like he's kind of moved around like these Catholic priests when they get busted molesting children, dude. He's been ensconced in the political system for like decades, man, 30 years, 20, 30 years.
So here's the interesting thing. Disney. Let's talk about Disney. A lot of people at Disney have been accused of doing things to children stars, agents, you know, a lot of these people.
Nexium was a big part of that.
Well, you talk about distractions. Now think about this. All of a sudden, Disney, who owns the rights to 007, decides to make the 007 female 007 African American or African Brit, and then the Little Mermaid. The mermaid is now going to be.
You're breaking up.
The mermaid is now going. This is why I'm telling you, this happens every time we start talking serious. And then the Little Mermaid is now they're going to have a black mermaid. That's a distraction. That's all it is. Disney,
of course,
we know what Disney's up to. Look, nobody cares. You know, okay, have another 007 agent, whatever. Have a black mermaid, great, not a big deal. But it's a distraction because we know we're being I'm being shadow banned horribly on Twitter. Our posts on Facebook are, a lot of people are getting banned on Facebook for posting the truth. And look, what are they afraid of? They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of what we're saying, people. If that's not proof enough for you to at least start to pay attention to what we've been saying for several years, I don't know what to tell you, man. If there's that much cognitive dissonance bouncing around in your skull.
And there is. It's everywhere, man. And I've said it, we said it many times, dude. They need these groups, whether it's race, sexual orientation, religion, have not, right versus left. They need those groups to play off against each other, because as long as they're fighting over here, then you're not paying attention to the man. Dude, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. That is absolutely crucial. I mean, we could have racial debates, we could have political debates, et cetera, but it's gotten to the point now where that's everything it's about. And then we're losing focus and losing sight of, again, Iran, fine. They're not going to do a Gulf of Tonkin with the U.S. They're now using the UK to start this shit.
Right.
And, you know,
hey, here's what, you know, John Kerry and several others from the Obama administration, I think including Obama, have met with Iranian leaders leading up to all the trouble we've had with Iran of late, with the pipeline bombings, the bombings on the oil tankers in the United Arab Emirate waters and in Oman. We know that Oman's military is run by British MI6. Now all of a sudden they've captured a British tanker. Look, I would be willing to bet that there are generals or other people within the Iranian government who have been compromised and who have been paid a lot of money to follow through and give orders and tell them to do things, their military, to go ahead and snatch up that British oil tanker so that we can get this war started and cause this distraction from what's about to go down that Trump's administration is doing right now in unraveling all of the pedophiles and human trafficking and the treasonous crimes, the spying on him, his administration, everything else that's gone on. So it's, to me, it's all false flags. And a very interesting conversation I had with some guys who are former special forces. And one of the guys said, kind of made a joke, that they're as good at what they do. They're better than anyone else in the world, our special forces. And a guy made a joke and said, when one of them said, we're sent in to end wars, and the guy goes, or start them.
Right, and they need them to be perpetual. They need them to be never ending. They need them to be perpetual. I mean, as we know, Smedley Butler said war is a racket. So of course there's that financial part of it. But again, it's I'll be anxious to see how it plays out. Trump's got to get rid of Bolton, man. He's got to get rid of John Bolton and these neocons. That that's their whole MO, is to keep starting these wars, man. To keep.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. People, I bit into that for a while. We'll have to, time will tell. But I think Trump keeps Bolton close to know what not to do. Not by what Bolton tells him to do, by what Bolton tells him to do, and he knows to do the opposite. Right? I truly believe that.
But if he's empowered Bolton in such a position,
he's shut them down.
If he's in that position, he's the one facilitating what you just mentioned about Oman and these other countries ran by MI6. He's going to be the one facilitating that, not necessarily Donald Trump.
Sure. I know. That's what I'm saying. But when Bolton is in Trump's ear saying, hey, we need to blow up this airport where these chemical weapons came from in Syria. You remember that? And we launched a bunch of Tomahawk missiles. And Trump had his people phone ahead and say, tell those people to get off that base before these Tomahawks hit. That's Trump damaging some concrete runways and some hangars and telling people to get the hell out of there because he knows there's Russians there and he doesn't want to get in a third world war. So he phones ahead. That's him placating to the globalists on one side and also understanding what they're trying to do in starting another massive conflict.
Well, and another element.
It makes too much sense.
No, it does. I mean, that's definitely worth considering. But another aspect of this that no one wants to talk about, lest you be considered anti-Semitic. If you don't like Vladimir Putin, are you anti-Russian? If you criticize Trump, are you anti-American? So why, if somebody criticizes the Israeli government, somehow you're anti-Semitic? That language in the first place is fucked because, a Semite, it's distinguishing a group of languages. It really has nothing to do particularly with Israel. But, I mean, Israel and the Mossad and so many of these right-wing neocon Israelis, whatever you want to call them, Zionists, if you will, are very much so a part of dictating our foreign policy. Whether people want to recognize that or not, I don't even really give a fuck. But we have to address that elephant in the room. And no one really wants to because you don't want to be called anti-Semitic, which of course I'm not. I'm just seeing it for what it is. There is a huge Zionist aspect to our foreign policy. And I know Jared Kushner, I mean, we're just very, very chummy with Israel. And that's fine if we want to be chummy with Israel. But we have to keep it freaking 100 about their role in all of this. I mean, I just read something today about how they were pinched selling arms to Iran, violating sanctions in Iran. And I mean, it's all just crazy. Why are we selling hundreds of billions of dollars of weapons to Saudi Arabia? Right. Weren't they supposedly responsible for 9/11? But yeah, I mean, I understand keep your friends close and your enemies closer, but like we're giving them hundreds of millions of dollars of weapons that they then go use in Yemen to commit genocide. I mean, so again, this whole geopolitical conversation, there's a lot of layers to it, man. And you can't let the mainstream media or people, Mike Pompeo, saying anti-Israel is anti-Semitic. Saying something against Israel means you're anti-Semitic. That's horseshit, dude. That just means they're somehow protected, this hedge of protection from ever being criticized, which is bullshit, dude.
I agree. That is true. We don't dislike Jewish people. That's for sure.
Of course not. Again, like I said, if we criticize any government, we don't like. I mean, whatever. If you criticize Putin, if you criticize Maduro or anybody in Venezuela, do you hate Venezuelans? But somehow they create this shortcut to thinking or this like leap of thinking of like, if you in any way criticize Netanyahu or Israel or any of their policies, like today, they just demolished a shit ton of Palestinian homes. And then I see these comments, well, hell yeah, dude, they're with Hamas. And I mean, it's just filtered through this, they're all terrorist type shit. And it's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. Of course there are some terrorists there, but it's like, what would we do if somebody came and took over our town, demolished shit? You know what I mean? When Obama was in office, you had cats dressing up in camos, going out in the woods. They're going to take our guns and ready to fight for their country. But that's patriotism. But when these people lose mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and they're throwing rocks because Israel fucking has nukes and the Palestinians have no army whatsoever, then they're automatically considered terrorists. The narrative just gets completely hijacked.
Right. Yeah.
And it's annoying. It's annoying as fuck.
And you know, this brings me to a conversation about people who actually hate America. There are some politicians that have been in the spotlight lately who I think genuinely hate America. Ilhan Omar, who is from Somalia originally, supposedly, you know, the left says, oh, that's not proven. Ilhan Omar supposedly married her brother to get him into the country. She was already married, by the way, when she did that. That's immigration violations, big time. My wife is an immigrant. I'm offended that people come here. Look, I get it. There's some really bad places in the world. We call them shitholes. I get it. People that are desperate to get here. But massive caravans of people walking 2,000 miles, the length of Mexico to get here, are not getting here just because they suddenly say we've got to get to America. They're being funded and they're being urged to make the trip and ride on top of trains and however they can get here, walking part of the way, thousands upon thousands in these groups to get here. This is deliberate. This is a deliberate Cloward Piven tactic to implode our economy even more. Look, we've spent so much on war. We've spent so much on welfare, whether it be personal or corporate. Money is being wasted left and right. Rand Paul points it out all the time. And this is all Cloward. These are all legs of the Cloward Piven spider, man, that are meant to financially implode this nation. And then we have no choice.
Well, even outside of that, that's again, not to say that's a distraction, but and again, the conversation should be had about separation of families, the care of these people who are there, you know, the humanitarian aspect of these refugees, et cetera, but the larger conversation is, you're right, this whole thing is being funded and facilitated to create a huge voting block on the West Coast, whether it's California, Arizona, wherever they're going, they're being brought in here, given free shit, driver's license, et cetera, welfare, to create a voting block for the Democrats, period, the end, man. I mean, that's the larger Trojan horse of what's going on. Is it fucked up if kids are dying in detention centers, et cetera? Hell yeah, it is. It's fucked up. But it's, you know,
here's the actual truth about it all. As far as whatever leftist groups are funding these massive caravans that are coming
George
to America,
Soros, we know it. George Soros, right out there,
right? And the groups underneath him that he has donated to, who are funding and aiding and abetting in a massive group of people being moved to the United States, they are funding and committing human trafficking. Because children are being raped, women are being raped, people are being murdered, people are dying in the deserts and along the way. And these people are responsible. And I think that, honestly, the Department of Justice, potentially in my mind, because they're certainly smarter than I am, are already probably looking at charges like that against some of these groups if they can prove who it is that's funding these people to get here. I mean, you know, their cell phone plans certainly aren't being canceled on their march here, right?
And no one even wants to recognize that. I mean, I don't have the exact statistics either, but a lot of so many of those kids that are coming in aren't even with their parents, and they're a part of trafficking, and no one wants to admit that. And when you play the fucking video of Barack Obama saying it himself when he was in office, hey, if they come over here legally, we got to send them back. So many of these kids are being brought over here trafficked. He said this shit, but somehow when Donald Trump does it, he's the worst of the worst. It's like, again, no one just wants to, like you said, the confirmation bias is so, and the cognitive dissonance is so thick. No one has their opinion. Their opinion has them. Their hatred of Trump, anything he does, it's just like, it's the worst. And they don't, when you, like, again, when you show a video of Barack Obama saying the same shit about, if you come here illegally, we're going to send your ass back. And he says a lot of these kids aren't with their parents. A lot of these kids are coming over here being used for child trafficking. He said this shit. And Trump said the same shit because it's true. That's what's happening. But the larger function of all of this, of course, there's casualties, unfortunately, but the larger function of all of this is to weaponize these illegal immigrants as a voting demographic in California and some of these other states on the West Coast. Period. The end. And we're paying for it through they're getting welfare, driver's licenses, and all of this free shit. I mean, look at what's happened in LA, dude. Compton in LA, the black folks who have lived there for a long time are being pushed out. And so many of these elite groups of illegals are being brought into these housing facilities in Compton and in South Central Los Angeles.
Well, I think it just look, AOC, Ilhan Omar, all of them. Ilhan Omar, you know, it's known that none of them will condemn Antifa. None of them will condemn Al Qaeda. None of them will condemn ISIS because they're anti-American. They hate their own fucking country. And it's disturbing that these people even got into office. That tells you something about the people that voted them in. That's
well, and like I've said before, like we've talked about, dude, have you ever seen, even as fringe as they are, have you ever seen or any political party just abdicate their seniority and their positions to freshmen, new congresswomen to pretty much dictate the platform of the Democratic Party? Pelosi, Schumer, all these heavy hitters have just given up pretty much their seniority to this, like them or not, or whatever it is. I've just never seen that before. And you said before you thought AOC has been brought in to pretty much sink the Democratic Party. And I saw an article about that the other day. This is a deliberate.
AOC is the final anchor, dude. I'm telling you, she's a psyop. She's a psyop sent in to absolutely destroy the Democratic Party, to dismantle it. It's coming apart at the seams. And when you mentioned Pelosi, just literally throwing her hands in the air and giving up almost. It's the truth. It's the truth.
And like I'm saying, I've never seen, both of these parties are very powerful, and they've always been very conscious about keeping controversial fringe elements out of the mainstream. But the squad or whatever they're called, they're the mainstream Democratic Party. And through agree with them or not or whatever, in my opinion, they're almost assuring Donald Trump winning in 2020.
That's the whole idea. I don't know. I don't think all four of them from the whatever they're called now are. But I believe the AOC is absolutely a psyop from the beginning. From the very beginning. And Damian Werner joined us. What's up, Damian? I've been meaning to call you, dude. Apologize. Hope things are well. We were talking about Iran, more stuff going on. MI6 running Oman's army.
And odd as it sounds with me saying this, I don't follow politics I don't watch the cable news shows, the mainstream media. I don't even really listen to the politicians because, in my opinion, it's all WWE. Whatever they say, they don't. Either side, they don't give a fuck. They just know how to speak to their constituency and say what they want to hear. I think behind the scenes, I don't think any of them necessarily give a shit. But history proves that. They have their public persona, like Hillary Clinton said in that video when she was talking to Goldman Sachs or whatever. Well, I have my public position, and then when I talk to you guys, the inside baseball, that's how I really feel. So,
look, most of these politicians have been compromised. When you talk about Mossad and blackmail and Jeffrey Epstein and all this other stuff, Hollywood elites going down there, politicians, millionaires and billionaires going to that island and hanging out. If you think for a second that Epstein's mansion in every bedroom didn't have surveillance cameras to film these idiots, you are sadly mistaken, because they're all on tape. And I'd be willing to bet that the Department of Justice has the tapes. I know that Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. But I saw a breakdown of this housing area in New York. Epstein, all these Hollywood elites, the Clintons, all have cribs near each other, and they found these tunnels that basically underground tunnels which connect all of these housing complexes. So that's just something in and of itself. But that's. Hopefully when this comes out, I'm saying, man, we said before when Trump first came in, or maybe it was before when he came in, we talked about there's an internal war.
Wait. Neil Anderson says, whoa.
It's not all politicians, Neil. Pump the brakes, baby. It's not all politicians.
You're one of the good guys, Neil.
That's what I'm just about to say. There is a war. If you follow Q, I'm not a huge Q fan, but some of the stuff I'm starting to fuck with. There is a war between the old guard.
Don't put it like that. You're starting to believe it.
Yeah, but you know, I'm open. I'm always open. I want it to be true, and I've said this. But there is a war going on with the military and the intelligence community of the old guard versus the new guard. That's why I say about Trump, I think he's a gangster. But I think he is Michael Corleone at the end of The Godfather, taking out all the old heads so he can bring in his own brand of gangster or whatever it is. Because you're never a nice guy. When you're a New York real estate tycoon, you know, you've done some dirt. And when you become president, you've done some dirt.
Maybe he's using that ability to be cruel and evict someone from their house so he can put up a high rise. He's now using that ability to crush pedophiles and human traffickers, which he's doing. It's proven in the numbers, right?
Yeah, he's busted rings left and right, man, since he came into office. Absolutely.
It's been
again, and that's for me, dude. I mean, his tweets, I don't particularly give a shit, and I don't follow it. I judge a tree by its fruits. If he's going to start more elite, like Obama, when he came in, he claimed himself to be an outsider, this anti-establishment cat, but he went along with the same program. It had more wars going, extended the war in Afghanistan, funneled weapons from Libya into Syria, et cetera, et cetera. But Trump, like you said, he didn't bomb strategic targets in Syria. It was just some bullshit targets. He didn't invade Venezuela. He hasn't invaded Iran yet. You know, like you said, I'm hoping he's keeping his friends close and his enemies closer, so he can not to know what not to do. But he's very, very close to Israel, and Israel, whether people want to recognize it or not, I'm sorry, the Israeli government, the higher ups in the Israeli government have dictated the foreign policy of the United States for a very, very long time.
Sure. But, you know, ultimately, let's go back to Trump here real quick. You remember when he was running, and I mentioned that he was going to put us back on the gold standard. And
that's another one. He can talk a good game, but if he does it, is he going to do it?
I also mentioned he was going to kill the Fed, which would literally set Americans free. That would be he would absolutely be the greatest president ever.
And if people need to understand what the Fed is not just something federal. It is a conglomeration of foreign banks that dictate our economy, which is unconstitutional in the first place. It is the role of Congress to dictate, to coin money and determine the value thereof. Congress, not a bunch of foreign European and foreign banks. That's what the Federal Reserve is. So I'm sorry, continue.
No, but that's why part of the reason our politicians have sold us out, a lot of them anyway. Not Neil Anderson, damn it.
Not Neil Anderson.
Not Rand Paul and not a few others up there, but that's big. And I think, he mentioned it again, that he's talking about putting someone in at the Fed that is leaning towards a gold standard. And then in his second term, I'm almost willing to bet $1,000 in his second term, if he's not assassinated, that he will kill the Fed. He will kill the Federal Reserve.
And again, I'm not saying that would be awesome. That would be awesome. But again, we got to judge the tree by its fruits. And so
no new wars.
No more wars. But he is a master. He is a media master. He knows how to speak to his constituency. The guy is not a fucking idiot, as much as people like to think he is. He knows how to speak to his constituency, and that is a huge right and left, really. I mean, but more the right, getting rid of the Fed, getting us back onto some measure of the gold standard, et cetera, et cetera. That's something huge for like you said, it would be earth shaking if that happened. But he would have to wait till his second term, quite frankly. So stand with Rand, Neil says. Rand voted against, and this, Neil, let me know what happened here. Rand voted against.
I know what happened.
Hold on, let me say what he did. He voted against the 9/11 compensation package for first responders.
Yeah, because it wasn't funded. It wasn't funded. There was no money for it. So Rand Paul was saying, I'm not going to vote for it until you pull money out of other areas to actually fund it, because we're signing to let this thing go forward, and there's no money in it. You can't do it. I just
figured it was one of those things that they passed with all this pork attached to it. So he's like, fuck that. I'm not going to have all this crap attached to the 9/11.
Most of the time is why Rand Paul and many politicians who actually stand up for the American people will do that. But it came down to it was not funded. There was not money to renew that for 9/11.
Pump the brakes, Neil Anderson. What do Kennedy and Lincoln have in common? Wanted to kill the Fed. The Fed didn't come into existence until 1913, well after
Central
Lincoln
bank
was gone.
It's still the central
Yeah,
bank.
it was still a form of the central bank. Yes.
Right. So it's the same thing. It's just a
Right.
different name. So ultimately, Andrew Jackson, who was not in office during the Trail of Tears, he gets blamed for it all the time, but he was not in office during the Trail of Tears.
He did not like Indians, though, dude. He was not a fan of Indians. But
Okay, that's okay. But he's the only president who actually killed the central bank. He's the only one who killed the bank, and I still think he's one of the greatest presidents because of that.
Well, and I think that's what the whole Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr thing happened, because Alexander Hamilton was essentially like a British agent, essentially, and Aaron Burr was like, "Fuck that shit."
So yeah, Neil said all Rand wanted to do is add an amendment to make sure it was funded. So
Okay.
they basically didn't allow him to do that, right? Is that the deal, Neil? Neil can come back with that, but
yeah, I mean, Rand, and even Ron Paul. I mean, those guys were the only ones. Like Ron Paul, what they did to him during his election, like he was winning primaries, and they put him like third or fourth when they would show the. I mean, they just dissed Ron Paul. So it's like those are the only ones that, in my opinion, have been speaking, most truth. And my boy who just passed away, Ross Perot. The last time I voted in an election, I don't give a fuck if you want to judge me for not voting. Go fuck yourself. The last time I voted in an election was fucking Ross Perot, dude, and he just passed away.
yeah, well,
they threatened his daughter. He had to jump out of the election because they threatened to kill his daughter. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
Ross was an interesting man.
My man dude, he was the bomb, dude. You see, these guys here, say, they're a bunch of oligarchs, say.
That was pretty
Ross
good.
was
pretty
the
good.
shit. Ross was the shit.
You going to be doing
It
some
can be argued
impressions?
that Rand.
You going
What's
to be
that?
doing some impressions at the St. Louis show with Sam?
No.
With Sam Tripoli
No.
and Eddie Bravo?
I'm not. August 10th, ladies and gentlemen, myself, Eddie Bravo, Sam Tripoli, X to the G, Sam's co-host. I'm going to be introducing those cats and doing a little bit of stand-up. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be working a little blue, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be working a little blue.
So let's fast forward now to Antifa.
Jesus.
Let's talk a little
We
Antifa.
said for a long time, dude, that these guys throwing their Molotov cocktails and their black cats and their fireworks, when some real hitters show up, like they have started to, it's going to be a horse of a different color. And there was a video the other day about 13, 14, 15 Antifa. I think it was in Portland or Seattle maybe. 3 or 4 guys, just middle-aged dudes showed up who weren't on their side and just started cleaning house, dude. Started cleaning house. It was beautiful. And they're literally like, what the fuck, man? What's wrong with you? I mean, they're just... I don't know, dude. They're grasp on reality. They think they can come and stop traffic like they did in Portland and all this other shit. But when somebody comes and actually stands up for themselves and even retaliates against them, I mean, it's getting bad, dude. Literally. I mean, I don't want it to go this way, but they're almost making it inevitable. The other side has been really, really patient while they've gone and done all this horse shit. But again, ladies and gentlemen, watch the show, PBS. It's called Genocide, Worse Than War. This kind of shit, civil war, genocide, it does not happen overnight, whether it's wherever it is, Srebrenica, whether it's Pol Pot's Cambodia, whether it's anywhere with Rwanda, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time to get to see your enemy is no longer human. And we're starting to see, we can't even have conversations anymore. You know what I mean? You support this person, that's inhumane. You're not a human being, you're an animal. This is the kind of language that we need to look out for, because once that trigger gets flipped, dude, it's on and popping, and you can't reel it back in.
Well, and here's the thing that people need to realize, and people need to take a deep breath. And I hope that some real left-leaning, hardcore communists listen to this, who want to jump in with Antifa and overturn the government, or where they think that communism and socialism, full-blown socialism, is going to be better. These violent.
It has such a great history of being successful.
Well, yeah, like zero.
Yeah.
But they need to realize it dawns on me more and more every day, and it really hit me when I was at the Thank the Seals event on Friday, Saturday, hanging out with those guys, and certainly known a lot of those guys over the years. People don't realize, I mean, I've been in, and I'm not proud of it, but I've been in 200 street fights, easy. And I never lost a street fight. I've been in fights with biker gangs, with college football teams, with rugby teams, by myself. Okay. I've been in some serious knockdown dragouts. I've been in knockdown dragouts in bars where I was the only white dude in the place and everybody wanted to kick my ass. So I've been in some serious, serious brawls, and I've survived them all and done pretty well, actually. When the shit hits the fan, I somehow figure shit out. But the men I was sitting around this weekend and guys that I know who have lived that life and done the deeds and been on a million tours of duty and are experts at killing lots of people. People do not realize when you piss these people off, it's going to be a very, very short day, and it's going to be very, very bad. So I don't think
that's what I'm saying. Half these fuckers are playing. They're playing.
I just can't.
Their idea of a fight and a battle royal is Fortnite or Call of Duty, and they put their controller down and go out in the street and think that's the way it is. But you're right, dude. I'm telling you, once you get that ilk of what you're talking about to the table, I mean, come on, dude. It's a wrap.
And these people.
Sorry about that, guys. That tends to happen. Just waiting on Patrick. Ooh. He's probably wondering why someone would shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane. It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan. Nobody cares. Put on the mask. Just waiting on Pat. There he is.
What'd they do to us? They're trying to kick us off?
That always seems to happen to us, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So anyway, no, I was talking about our veterans, special forces guys, infantrymen, all hundreds of thousands of them who, my God, if those guys come out in force, even one of them, I mean, it's over for.
Now that's what I'm saying. That whatever that was in Portland, where it was like 15, 20 kids against like 3 or 4 just hitters, and they weren't even heavy hitters like what you're talking about. They were just, ready to scrap. And they just mopped him, dude. They just mopped him, just clean house, dude. And it was just, that was just illustrative of what is to come. And I just don't want to see. I don't want to see. I don't want to see that.
The thing is, it should give you comfort. It should give you comfort to know that if things get bad enough, the folks who are veterans, who spent many years as special forces guys, SF guys, that things will get cleaned up pretty quick. I mean, I'm just volunteering to carry their water, dude. I'll carry their water and their ammo for them, But no, I don't. I would hope that that's not the case. But look, Soros is capable of funding a lot of bad stuff. $17 billion he let go of and put into different organizations to safeguard it, right? And I think maybe he was fearing that after Trump signed the executive order that basically took money from people who committed treason against their nation, human trafficking, all the other stuff, Soros, not long after that, gave that 17 billion with a B away to all those different organizations. So look, if you think,
and another thing that gives me that Trump is possibly going after the old guard, that $1 billion shipment of cocaine from JP Morgan, like that's been happening for a long time through these higher level institutions that have just been spread out, and it just happens. But for $1 billion from I think they're cutting off some of the funding of this old guard, in my humble opinion, because there was 2. There was JP Morgan and there was another bust not too long before that. But yeah, dude, there's some very, very interesting shit going on, dude. There's some very, very, and it's, again, I can't say it enough, ladies and gentlemen. Watch it. Inform yourself however you want to inform yourself. I know I'm not right all the time. I just have considerations which suggest certain things. But if you're watching CSNBC or even Fox, dude, Operation Mockingbird, ladies and gentlemen, none of those channels are there to inform you at all.
right.
They're just not. They're just not at all. So if that's where you think you're getting your stuff on and you think you know what's up in the world and what's going on, I can't even talk. I mean, I'm not better than anybody. I can't. We're comparing apples and asparagus, dude. We're not even having the same conversation.
Yeah, because if you think Shepard Smith's a conservative, you're high as.
Well, and again, it's like they know how to speak to their base. You know what I mean? It's again. I've one day I'm gonna write a book. It's all wrestling, because I think it is, dude. It's all some high, some real, very sophisticated political theater that is weaponized by mass media, and it's wickedly brilliant. Again, I've said this before, and we had David Icahn. I mean, when you control the narrative, you then can control how people perceive events, period, the end. And people, again, they have this fast food notion and how, they watch a show for 30 minutes or an hour and they think they know what's up. And it's just not how it works, dude. There's a lot of, you got to dig deeper, man. You got to dig deeper.
Yeah. So as all the things that we've talked about, we encourage people, look, do some research, prove us wrong. We want you to prove us wrong. We want you to correct us. That's because we're here for the truth. We're not here to sell you on something that we don't believe is true. Until we're proven wrong, we're going to go ahead and continue to say it. So that's just the way it is. But so, yeah, the Antifa thing is, just as the white supremacists in gosh, what town was it? Charlottesville, where the woman got killed by the guy driving the Dodge Charger. The white supremacists were organized by the guy that organized Occupy Wall Street. That guy's a paid operative to organize.
And where was that at? That was Charlottesville, Virginia. Who was the governor of Charlottesville, Virginia? Terry McAuliffe, who was at one point in time head of the DNC. His wife received $500,000 from the Clintons to run for Senate. I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. This is chess, not checkers, man. And again, only through historical perspective, and for me, it's not about being right, but only through historical perspective do people find out so much of the shit we're talking is true. In August of '64, whatever year it was, if you would have said Gulf of Tonkin was bullshit, they would have been like, dude, you're fucking crazy, man. The commie Vietnamese, that's what they did. They attacked the Maddox. Only through 20, 30 years did we find out that was true. And luckily, historical perspectives on our side are untrue. And so Pedogate and all this stuff we talked about, how deep that goes, man. We were called so crazy, and people probably still think we're crazy. But when you start bringing down cats like Jeffrey Epstein and start hearing about how deep that rabbit hole goes with him, Weinstein, and those are just kind of almost low-hanging fruit, dude. You got Prince Edward from fucking the UK. Supposedly the royal family cut their vacation short here in the US. They were supposed to be here for like a month. Once this broke, they took off back to England because they know how deep this goes. And what did they find out today? They found that girl's bones that's been missing for however long in the Vatican. And when they're there, they found more bones of missing people. Come on, dude.
Right. Yeah. And so that's, it's all, why is it all happening now after Trump got elected? Why is that? Huh?
I know.
Because he gave public speeches saying he was going to do it. That human traffickers were going to go down, that pedophiles were going to go down, that he wanted the death penalty for them. And that's the way it's going to be. Now, James Carroll talking about El Chapo bribing prison guards of the Supermax. And look, El Chapo, I think they got most of his money. They got billions, I know that. But I would say this, that El Chapo, I wonder if they have waterboarded him yet to find out which politicians he paid to stop the border from being a wall being erected there.
I think it was Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz said use his dough that they seize like $14 billion to help build it.
It'll build 3 walls. The hell with it.
Well,
use
and
all
again,
of it. Build
if
3
we
walls.
And if we could, save some of the money from some of these horseshit wars, we could have built it 10 times over. We could have funded all kinds of shit, but that's almost another story.
And I get all the people on the left who say a wall won't do anything. It actually creates funnels and ports of entry, so people can't just walk across a desert and potentially die. It stops a lot of the people from coming. It saves a lot of lives. And I understand that a lot of people here on overstaying visas. So I get it. Okay, I get it. That needs to be cleaned up. Employers need to be.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Employers need to be punished for hiring illegals. It is what it is. But it's got to change. because there's nowhere else on the planet you can go to illegally and collect fucking welfare. Okay, so
No.
stop it. Stop the insanity. Stop thinking it's okay. We cannot save the world by allowing them all to come here. That ends up turning our country into a third world shithole. Fact.
Well, and again,
Fact.
stop playing checkers and realize the chess game is those millions of people given free shit. How do you think they're going to vote? You think they're going to vote Republican? They're going to vote with the people who've been giving them free shit that you are paying for.
Right.
So, I mean, again, when we talk about the sentimentality of kids and the
that you and I are paying for, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Our tax dollars are going to giving these millions of people who, are breaking the law free shit just so they can vote Democratic.
Yeah. Can we?
I mean, that's
would it be okay if Jeff and I could save enough of our own money to put our kids in school potentially? Maybe save enough money for retirement too. That'd be fucking awesome.
You can also support our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. www.theconspiracyfarm.com. Plenty of sponsors. My Patriot Supply, ButcherBox, C4.com, Chemical Free Body. Go check it out, man. That helps us keep this operation afloat because we're trying to take this show on the road. Like we said, digitally, they have demonetized us. They've shadow banned us. They've suppressed numbers, et cetera, et cetera. So what we're trying to do is literally take our physical selves to these cities where we know we got great numbers, great listenership, and then, they can't fuck with that unless they blow up our plane.
I'd like to know, how many people would actually show up here in the Quad Cities for us to do a live show with a studio audience. People can ask us questions live. I mean, I think we could pull it off every week in the Quad Cities. I think that people would travel from outside of the Quad Cities to come to the show, in my mind. But we do want to take it on the road. We're going to be in Dallas, Texas. We're going to be in Denver, Colorado. We're trying to get all these things done. And we're certainly trying to put together a TV show for Netflix or wherever.
Fuck Netflix, dude. Fuck Netflix.
Hey, never burn a bridge. Never burn that bridge.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, look at Netflix is just a full-on. I mean, it's turned into a propaganda machine now, dude. Unfortunately.
Yeah, they did. They signed the Obamas to a massive multi-million-dollar deal to produce shows. I believe they sign the Clintons also to do that.
I don't know, dude. The Clintons, Billy Joel dedicated a song to the Clintons in New York a couple of weeks ago, and they got booed out of the fucking building.
Right, they did. James Thresh, chiropractor down in Branson, Missouri, great guy, said, "Come do a show in Branson, Missouri," with a question mark.
That's what's up, dude. Look, anywhere, man. If it doesn't make, I mean, if the numbers are there and people are willing to have us come, again, it's the money, the revenue is almost secondary to the exchange of ideas and the conversations and being able to reach out to our listeners and our fans. Dude, I get messages from freaking Africa, Ojo, Nigeria, Croatia, Isle of Man. I didn't even know Isle of Man existed. Ireland, Canada, Australia. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
It's really, really humbling. But we would love to be able to physically go and chop it up. That would just be absolutely cool, dude, because they can't stop us from, they can shadow ban us, they can demonetize us, they can, restrict our numbers and access to our shows, but they can't keep us from actually going out and reaching out to our listeners, man. They can take us out, but I don't think that's happening.
Right. Well, I think one way or another, the truth's coming out.
It absolutely is. It is. And that's cool to see, man. There's more and more. I mean, what we're doing is some good work, man. And now the government has gotten involved into the conspiracy game. I forget the name of the show, like the Conspiracy Place or something real whack and lame. And they're just, you could just tell it's not genuine. It's not authentic at all. And even outside of that, as we've talked about before, this movement, the alternative media, has been infiltrated like nobody's business. There are so many shows out there, ladies and gentlemen, that just, they're not who they say they are. I know I'm legit, dude. I'm not making millions of dollars. I'm working 2-3 part-time jobs, doubles. I mean, I'm exhausted. I'm working my ass off, dude. And I'm not mad at that. I don't mind hard work. But I'm just saying, there are cats out there who are rising to high levels with some assistance.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Put it that way.
And anything to discredit the alt media,
And what happened with Pat with Bloody Elbow, that wasn't an accident. That was not at all an accident. That is a methodical move to try to delegitimize not just Pat, but what we talk about on this show. If they can't assassinate you physically, they will politically and try to delegitimize your message. And it just ain't gonna work. It just ain't gonna work.
I remember that brings up a great story. One of my friends in high school, it was kind of mean of me to do, but he was being a jerk to me in front of his girlfriend, trying to show off in front of his girlfriend. And I had written a 10-page essay for a class that I was in, and he kept going. When you said delegitimize, I said I threw my paper down in front of him and I said, read that to your girlfriend right now. And he ripped it, my 10-page report that I wrote and took a lot of time on, ripped it in half, threw it in my face and said, fuck you, I'm not illegitimate. And I said, that's illiterate.
Know your words, man. Know your words.
So yeah. No, we gotta throw some comedy in, man. We gotta do some comedy now and then, right?
Hey, baby, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. That's what I'm saying. If we come to your town, if we come to your state, come to your city, it's not all about fire and brimstone, man. Either we laugh about this stuff or we cry about it. So we have to mix the two a little bit because, you know, we have a great time on the show. And a lot of the conversations I have offline with people that, you know, we just chop it up. I mean, it's you know, we talk serious stuff, but we also, you know, have a good time. Sam Tripoli, he's mastered that, dude. A stand-up comic that has done a great job bringing a lot of this information to people while
and he's
still
been
bringing some humor
he's
to
been
it.
blackballed in Hollywood because of it.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, like I said, August 10th, he's on the road here with Eddie Bravo and X to the G, and I'm going to be introducing those guys. So anybody in St. Louis wants to come out to Helium Comedy Club, come check us out, dude. We're going to be balling, man. And it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
It's going to be very good. Very good. So, all right, you got anything to add?
Oh, off the top of my head, no. I'm sure once I get off, I'm like, oh, yeah. But for right now, no, man. I just really wanted to bring everybody's attention to, you know, what happened with the bloody elbow and the just blatant hit piece on my boy. And you ask Colby Covington, man, on Twitter, you fuck with my peoples, dude, I will go nuclear on your ass. So leave my peoples alone, dude. Leave my peoples alone. Bloody elbow. That was just beyond irresponsible. So
it was a low blow. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Lawler Colby Covington fight. We won't talk sports on this one, but I'm looking forward to it. We won't elaborate on that right now because this is political. We'll keep that out of it.
Sure.
But Don McGuire, Pat, why don't you do comedy? I do comedy by myself. I trip, I fall down, I do all kinds of
I
shit.
make myself laugh all the time.
I do Chevy Chase style impressions of Gerald Ford. I fall down a lot, do stupid stuff, you know. That's the way.
But yeah, we do have a couple. We do have a couple locations in Davenport and Bettendorf, so we might be lining that up here in the next few weeks, quite possibly.
And there's a comedy club. There's a comedy club here in town actually that we could probably. I think we could probably pull it off. So we might want to do that.
Well, even if it's not a comedy club, like I said, we have a couple locations. You know, the one out by you, and then we have another one. We do got a couple locations, but we want to make sure what this event is serving to kick off our tour on the road, but we can't do that unless we honestly have the capital for me. Pat's going to be, we're basically doing these in cities where Pat's already at announcing for Access TV. So it's just basically my plane tickets and my travel. That is the concern. And
so we're going to start,
I mean,
we're going to start a GoFundMe to get the TV show and our tour up because we're going to be filming all of them and getting those up. And I think that it's pretty safe to say we'll get those out.
Well, even if it's not the GoFundMe, ladies and gentlemen, support the sponsors. Go to our online store on the website. Support our sponsors. We got a PayPal link. There's a direct link you could do. Donate whatever you can, dude. Anything, it all helps, dude. I'm not saying break the bank. I know dough's tight for everybody, so I mean it's nothing. We're not asking for thousands of dollars for each person. For the millions of listeners that we have, if everybody gave $5, $2, $3, we can make it happen, Kevin. So every little bit helps.
Produce our own TV shows. Go on site to where the conspiracies took place or are taking place. We can go to Haiti.
That's honestly.
We can go to Haiti. Hey, listen, we can go to Haiti. We can talk to the people about Laura Silsby Clinton from the Clinton administration, from the Clinton group, trying to smuggle 33 children who had parents, by the way, in Haiti, across the Dominican Republic border. And she got arrested, and Clinton got her ass out of prison. So That's the type of stuff we want to do. We want to go to Haiti. We want to talk to the parents. We want to talk to the kids who are old enough now to tell us about it,
Right.
and give you guys the truth on what these people are up to.
Well, and if we go to Haiti, I am definitely going to be having plenty of unprotected sex. So help us out, ladies and gentlemen, with the travel costs, because we can't do this without you guys. Seriously, I mean, we're not just talking to ourselves, and like I said, we get messages from everywhere. So, not to sound like a freaking Jim Baker infomercial at 3 a.m, we just need some operating costs, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a millionaire. Pat, despite what Google says, doesn't have $15 million or whatever it is. So, like I said, friends, family, farmers, whatever you can do to support, www.theconspiracyfarm.com. Buy a hat, buy some t-shirts, buy some storable food, buy some incredible health products from Chemical Free Body, buy yourself some concealed carry clothing to exercise your Second Amendment, and some Butcher Box, some organic meats. Oh my God, dude, I finally made that shoulder roast that Butcher Box sent me.
Yeah.
Put it in the slow cooker for a few hours. Oh my God, it was so good, dude. It was so good. I was chomping on that shit for like 3 or 4 days. So anyway, my phone's about to die, it looks like. So, yeah, no, don't put that out there, Shelly Shaner. No mysterious plane crashes. What are you talking about?
We're gonna take a boat,
and then we're gonna go to the edge of the earth and hit the ice wall and report back to Eddie Bravo that he was right. The earth is flat.
It's gonna be a luxury cruise to Haiti.
Or we're gonna hop on John McAfee's boat and have him take us around.
I wonder how many people would go with us on a Conspiracy Farm luxury cruise to Haiti.
Us Conspiracy Farm cruise, that would be so dope, dude. That would be so dope.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, you're starting to put the ideas out there. The sky's the limit, ladies and gentlemen. And honest, like I said, man, we can't do this without you guys and our friends, our family, our farmers. Thank you for whatever support, even if it's not financial, listening to the show, subscribing to the show,
share the
giving
links,
us feedback.
man. Share the links, share the show, share the website.
Yes, absolutely.
TheConspiracyFarm.com. Share it, man. Wherever.
For sure. Because we're on the radar, dude. Clearly, what they did to Pat just lets you know that, you know what I mean, we're on the radar. We've been on the radar, but hit pieces like that just let you know that we're not just talking silly buggers. We know what the hell we're talking about. Not always right, not always necessarily wrong. Like Pat said, research for yourself, man. This stuff goes deep. I know you guys, a lot of people don't have the time to do this kind of research because there's a lot to it. But do what you can, dude. Do what you can. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. If we're wrong on stuff, let us know, dude. I don't care. Like I said, I have an opinion, but my opinion doesn't have me. I'm open to exchange ideas. So peace and all kinds of love. Patrick J., love you, brother.
Love you too, buddy. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Right.
And talk to you soon, man.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
guys.
One more thing. Support this right here.
What is it? Oh, the Navy SEALs.
Thank the SEALs.
Oh, is that an organization?
Yes, Thank the SEALs. They can find them online.
There you go.
Google Thank the SEALs charitable organization. And look, donate some money, man. Start your own group. People are starting their own groups and donating money to it.
Look out for Chris Tonto, who will be on very soon.
Very soon.
Talking some Benghazi.
Yes,
and
sir.
It did not start because of a video on YouTube.
Nope.
Believe that.
All
right, guys.
buddy.
Holla.
Thanks.
See ya.